Bo.
Hey, Andy, how you
What's
doing,
up,
man?
buddy? How are you, man?
Yeah, I'm doing all right.
So, I just thought if we could talk for like 5 minutes, just kind of bounce a couple things off you, if you got the time.
Sure.
Um,
How's the audio? Can you hear me okay?
yeah, you lost your job in March, right? You were in live music production, and that
Right.
obviously went away, right?
I that's exactly what happened. Yeah, I was scheduled on a world tour actually that would have taken me at least halfway through the year with more work scheduled after that. And it literally just happened overnight, I think it was March 12th was when like the whole industry was just completely
Yeah.
blacked out.
Wow. A world
Yeah.
tour. How long was that going to be for? Like 6 to 12
Uh,
months, something like that?
Yeah, I think what I had just come out of rehearsals in March, and it was supposed to start like a week after that, and it would have lasted about 3 months, I think.
That sounds like a really fun gig. I was in a really crappy band in the 90s and I loved it and I was the singer-songwriter, but the fact that like you get to work with actual real paid musicians who like go on tour, that's like fantastic. Have you ever worked with like big names anybody would know?
I have. Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with Avril Lavigne. Was the lady I was supposed to be out
Isn't
with?
everybody familiar with Avril Lavigne? I mean, the
You know,
world
you
knows
never
her.
know.
Wow, man.
You never know. But
So that's who you're
a
going to go
couple
on tour
others.
with, huh?
Yeah, that
Wow.
was the one that canceled there.
That's fantastic. And you were like the audio engineer? Were you like working the board?
Yeah, so it's a pair of audio engineers typically in a tour like that. One does sound for the audience, and the other does sound for the musicians on stage. So that was my role, was doing the monitors for the band.
And arguably that's the more important one. if the
Oh man,
if the
yeah,
musician can't hear herself, it sounds bad to
true,
the audience, right?
true.
Wow, that's fantastic. And how long you been doing that? Did you like go to school for audio engineering and like has this been your career up until COVID?
It's it's been the whole way, man. I think I've started buying PAs and small speakers and stuff when I was like 15, and I did end up in like a year-long program for production and sound when I was like 18.
Wow.
And since then, yeah, I did a lot of local work in New Orleans for a few years, and then
Is that
been
where
on the
you're at?
road.
Are you in New Orleans?
No, I'm in Atlanta now. I
Okay.
moved out of New Orleans probably about 6 years ago now.
I was gonna guess California because you work in the music industry. You got a cool name like Bo. I'm like, this dude's probably like on a beach in Malibu or something.
No, man, it's too rich for my blood out there.
Yeah. So you're in Georgia, down Atlanta.
Yeah,
Cool.
Atlanta.
Nice. So wow, man, that's been like your gig for years, right? You were the audio guy and you loved it, and you got to. I guess you never thought the world would shut down and you lose your job, right? That's like
No, no,
unexpected.
didn't see this one coming.
Yeah, right. Who the heck did? Wow. So, and you mentioned too, like out of necessity and against interest, you got a little bit involved in networking. Was there a little bit of like on the job having to get stuff connected up?
Totally. I mean, I would say it's more involved than like getting the internet to work at your house, but certainly less involved than what I would expect like a professional network engineer does, right? Like
Yeah,
you might have anywhere from 5 to maybe 100 devices on like a pretty basic
right.
little network, with maybe a couple wireless controllers or something.
Yeah, but you got your
Um,
hands in it a little bit. You had to get that stuff working, right?
yeah, it's got to work, and a lot of times it's mission critical. A failure could mean you're now in an arena that's quiet and when it's not supposed to be.
It's not good.
Yeah, so it might not be the most like advanced application of this stuff, but it is important
Sure.
that you know what you're doing.
So in
You know.
March, you get a call from Avril Lavigne's people, like, "Sorry, Bo, we're we got to shut everything down."
Yeah, I think it was an email from the tour manager that went out that just said, I think there was like a couple venues in Europe that canceled first,
Hmm.
and we were trying to reschedule around, and then
And
everything
it
all at
just all
once was
fell,
like,
right? Yeah. So did you decide right away, like, let me look into this networking thing? I mean, do you know somebody in networking? Like, for me, I was working as a field guy, and somebody I work with was like, "Hey, look into the CCNA thing, like networking," and it was foreign to me up until that point. I mean, how would you even know to like look into that as a career?
right. So, and it was actually kind of funny listening to the first episode of your podcast the other night. Um, you were talking about doing like the cable stuff, and you're saying it's difficult physically on your body.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can imagine that just like being on the road
Uh,
months at a time is pretty physically demanding.
yeah.
And there are very few people who make it late in life doing that, and
Right.
it's not for everybody. And to be honest, it's probably not for me past a certain age. But
Yep. Yep.
with that, you're always looking down the road in any job, thinking like, is this something I can do forever, or how long can I do this? And just spinning the wheels, thinking like, what other kind of work could I possibly do when I'm done here? And the networking aspect of the stuff we did at work was always enjoyable for me. It was something that I gravitated towards. I like doing it. I like learning about it. Um, but no, I definitely didn't know anyone doing it on a professional level, like solely doing that, right?
Sure.
Um, so when the industry came to a halt, and it's like the first few months were kind of like, okay, how long is this going to be? Um, can I just like chill out for a couple months, have a little small vacation kind of thing? Um, but after a couple months went by and there was no end in sight,
Mm.
it's like, okay, I need to start seriously finding another means of income at this point.
Right. Took a couple months off, chilling, like, all right, let's see how this goes. And then it's like, oh, I'm going to run out of money eventually. I got to do something.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
basically, what happened was it went from like an idea of like, what else could I possibly be doing to like, well, I guess it's time to start doing that like now. Right.
Right. Right.
And so, no, I didn't know anyone. I didn't know anything about, CCNAs or anything, any of the certifications. It was just a lot of time on the internet and really mostly a lot of time looking at like job postings
Yeah.
and seeing what all the people that are hiring for like these help desk level positions and everything are putting as requirements.
Did you find that they all listed the CCNA? Yeah.
9 out of 10 for
Right.
sure.
Right. Like that catches your eye, right? Like, oh, okay. I guess I got to get this thing called the CCNA, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you
Yeah.
looked into it. It was expensive, right? Like you said, the material to study is expensive. If you're going to try to build a lab, it's expensive. The exams are expensive, like $300 a shot. Like so when you looked at that, is that when you kind of pivoted to CompT? Like, oh, okay, Network Plus, A Plus, that stuff's a lot more accessible. Is it kind of how that went down?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. And you got your A Plus, right?
I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
And you're working on Net Plus now?
Yeah, I just finished the courses for it last night. Did a lot of practice tests today, so I'm hoping probably first week of January, since kind of like Christmas stuff going on with the family and everything. But
Right. So like perfect world, unlimited budget, what would you do? Would you buy like the official cert guides from Cisco, like the textbooks, start studying those, have a home lab with Cisco routers and switches, and just start? Because the Net Plus, I believe, is going to be transferable. You've probably learned a lot of the basics, which is good. I've heard that the CompT Network Plus is really good. It's a vendor agnostic, neutral, get you a lot of the good foundation stuff. So, because I guess 9 out of 10 jobs had CCNA listed, is that kind of your next move? Is like, all right, do you want to jump into that? And there's just a barrier.
I do, and it's kind of like this, man. It's, I started looking for the jobs first, right?
Yeah.
And the certifications at that point became what appears to be means to an end. Like you get the certs so that you can get the job.
Yep.
Obviously, I enjoy the learning process as well, but there is like some sort of balance here. Where it's like I don't want to just get 100 certs and never work,
Right.
and I don't want to just get an entry level job and never progress, right?
Yeah.
So unlimited budget is tough to say, man.
But would you like to go for your CC? Like, so let's say you take the Net Plus in January and you pass it.
Right.
I guess I'm just thinking out loud and like devil's advocate. So did any of those job postings you look at ask for the Net Plus? Like, was that kind of, okay, good. So that could probably get you some traction as well.
Well, I think I had hoped. I'm a little bit pessimistic about it at this point because a ton of jobs also only had the A plus on there, right?
Yeah.
And I started hitting it really hard after I got that and have not had any luck. So
right. And the hardest, you always hear it, the chicken or the egg, the hardest thing is to get that first, gig, whatever it is, whether it's, help desk or a knock or, engineering. It's like, even for me, I was working at a knock. Like I was a cable guy and needed somebody to give me a shot. I got my CCNA, and like you, I'm talking to everybody and like, we don't have any experience. Well, how am I supposed to get experience if you don't give me a job? So there is that part too. But there's a lot of workarounds for that. And I wanted to ask you about your home lab. I couldn't quite see what you had in there, but that was like a Raspberry Pi. That was kind of cool.
Yeah, so I have two of those. I didn't have pictured the Windows desktop that I have on my actual desk
Yeah.
below those shelves, but those are just some shelves just above my work area that I have just a small 5-port switch and two Raspberry Pis in, and it's been really great actually, man. I bought the first one for work, but having those around to practice learn Linux and
Oh, okay.
practice different stuff as far as like creating file shares and all that different stuff that you're learning in these courses, actually being able to implement it has been pretty
I hear they're fantastic. So you were able to use the Raspberry Pis in conjunction with your studying and build stuff on there?
absolutely,
Oh
yeah,
man,
just every day I'm on there. Yeah,
that's
so
cool.
it's nice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. All right, man. Well, the real reason I'm calling is because I want to give you this home lab. So you're the winner.
Oh man.
Yeah, you really you kind of, I don't know, you just hit me when you were so sincere and you need it, and my heart goes out to you that COVID knocked your damn career sideways, and now what are you supposed to do? And I know that's happened to a lot of people, but I think you'd be a great home for this stuff. So I'd like to give it to you. If there's anything else that my friends and I, we kind of have a community. I don't know if you jumped on that Discord server yet, but there's a ton of people in there that can and would help. I have 4 Cisco routers. They're 1921s. They're pretty decent routers. And then I have 3 Cisco switches. And when I was labbing for my CCNA, that seemed to be kind of the good topology. They had lab books at the time, and most of the labs were like 4 routers. A certain amount of routers and a certain amount of switches allow you to lab certain things. Like with 3 switches, you can build a triangle and mess with spanning tree and watch loops form and kill stuff. So to me, it's kind of the perfect number of devices, and maybe it's just because I was a field guy for 5 years, but for me, there's something about the physical, tactile, I wrote a bunch of blog posts about, like, there's a ton of things you can learn on physical gear, like in your job as an audio guy. I mean, yeah, you could just go to class, sit at a board and do the job, but until you've run the snakes and run the cables and had, where's that static coming from, and like, there's so much in the physical layer that if you're an expert at, it's just going to make you a better audio engineer. It's the same with networking. Like for me now, I have data center techs that I work with, so they're the guys in the data centers. But when we have an issue, because I've been in the field, I can almost visualize what they're looking at, it helps me kind of get in their head and like troubleshoot issues. So I'm a big advocate of the physical lab because, networking is, I don't know if Net Plus covered it, like the OSI layer, the 7-layer stack, and physical is the foundation everything's built on, unless you got the physical layer, unless that electric's going across those cables and those ports are pinned out right, nothing works without the physical. And I'd say 30% of the time, like I work for a big company and they have a bunch of data centers over the world. A lot of times when we have a problem, it's physical. There's a bad fiber, a bad porch panel. I mean, physical layer is very important, which is why I think for you, who's starting out, who's going to have their Net Plus soon, and who's looking at their CCNA, to have a physical lab, there's just so much you can learn. I would say, sometime in the new year, you'll have it in your hands, man. You'll have a real deal Cisco enterprise routers and switches, brother. And but that's what I wanted to say. If there's anything I can do to help, if you need the official cert guide, I'll send it to you. If you haven't joined the Discord server, it's all about the journey. There's about 500 of us in there now, anywhere from the podcast hosts to people just starting out like yourself, people below you who haven't done any CompT. Like, we get people jump in like, hey, what's this networking thing? What do I do? How do I get started? And there's hundreds of people who are like, yo, dude, rock on, man. You're in the right place. Like, let's help each other. So, not that Reddit isn't bad. I know you saw it on the R Home Lab, and that's a great place too. Right. Everybody's helping each other. But, what I was really pleasantly surprised is just there's this huge community of people in the space that want to help each other. Like, there's no way I would be where I'm at in my career if I didn't have dozens of people helping me, get here. So that's really all I'm trying to do. I'm just fortunate enough I have this gear. If I can help you, rock on. And if someday you can, pay it forward to somebody, who needs it. Once you're the big dog network engineer guy somewhere rocking out, and, you can help somebody coming up, you know, that's all I ask. But yeah, man, you excited? You pumped? Is this good news?
I, that's the best news. It's amazing,
All
and
right.
I'm just
Good, man.
continually impressed by you and your decision to do that. It's
Well,
with everything that's going on in the world, it's good to see people
yeah.
doing good shit, man.
I just
For
want
real.
to. I just want to help, and you'll do it too. You know what I mean? You'll pass it. You'll pay it forward someday, and I'm excited. This is cool. And even along the way, if you need any, if you get it, and you're like, what the hell do I do with it now? You know, let me know how I can help. You'll need some cross connect. It comes with all the power cables. You need some cross connect cables. You can get those really cheap at mono price, unless you're making your own. I'm a crazy person. I make my own cables. There's no reason to. You can get them really cheap for just because I was a cable guy. I want to make cables, but you know, for $5-10, you could probably get all the cables you need to plug them into each other. But
yeah, I used to make a lot when I was working locally in New Orleans at the warehouse.
yeah. All right, so
Kind of good on that.
yeah, right. You're definitely good on that. So, all right, man. Well, rock on. When are you taking the Net Plus? January, you said?
I'm debating if I should schedule it for like early this week or first week of January, but it's not. Yeah, it's like $300, dude. I don't want to retake that.
Is that what the Net Plus is? It's 300. Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
at least on Pearson VUE or the place I was looking at it. So I'm thinking, yeah, probably January 5, somewhere like that. It'll be my target.
Well, I was a cable guy making no money, get my body beat up, thinking the same thing you like before March. Like, what am I gonna do? You know, what am I gonna do long term here? I can't climb poles and dodge cars and get stung by bees and chased by dogs the rest of my life. You know what I mean? So it's a great path. I love the job. But yeah, I thought you were West Coast. I didn't realize I was calling you at midnight. So sorry to have you up so late. But you know,
no worries, man.
Yeah, I'll let you go. Shoot me your address whenever you get a chance. I'll get you this gear out. I'll shoot you the OCGs, and here you go, brother. You're
amazing.
You're gonna be a network engineer. Hey, you're welcome, man. I'm happy to help, dude. So rock on, man. All right.
Well,
Nice.
so I'll be emailing you probably in the morning then.
All right, cool. Nice getting to talk to you, Bo.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, have a good one. See you, man. You're welcome. See you.